Chetan Bhagat, thank you for speaking to DeKoder and welcome to Between
Thank
Us.
you.
So, 12 years, my messed up love story. After two states, the state of, the story of my marriage. I'm presuming this one isn't biographical.
Not so much as Two States, and both for fiction technically. Even Two States, I've never said that is officially my story, but it is heavily inspired by my own life. This one, see, every book has some of the author in it. It's never going to be that the author will not be there. If it has to work, you have to put something real in it. But it's not directly like linked to my life's plot. Yes.
It was very interesting because the protagonist is uh, a stand-up comic. At least, when we meet him, you have the
Yes.
backstory, and then I don't want to give the book away, but it was very interesting for me that at a time like this in India, where stand-up comics are being defined in so many different ways. Uh, you know, uh, there is an entire following. There are stars in their own right. They're also being looked at people who are sort of talking about policy and governance and politics in many ways that other media is not. So I wanted to know why you chose him to be this.
So for me, the reason of choosing stand-up comic was very simple. I wanted to do a funny book. I feel humor is my strength, and there is not enough funny content there. Like even the OTT platforms have very good thrillers, very good, gangster kind of series, and even the lot of action movies are coming. There's not enough fun and humor in society. So I want to do a funny story. So I thought if I make the hero a stand-up comic, I have to put humor in it. I mean, it was quite a challenge. I had to learn stand-up comedy to write about a hero who's a stand-up comic. And the second reason was that I just wanted to do something that was funny. And I think a stand-up comic forces you to write funny material. I had to learn stand-up comedy. And the second thing was, I've been writing for a long time. This is like my 21st year, being in the publishing, being out in the open. So I wanted to write a story of today. So the our protagonists have to have professions of today. Things like stand-up comedy wasn't even like I couldn't have written about a stand-up comic 20 years back because it wasn't there. Similarly, even things like startups, which are very big part of the book, like startup culture, investing, private equity, all this, it was not never mainstream, but now with shows like Shark Tank, everybody knows startups, equity stakes, things like that. So I just wanted to have that Gen Z kind of aspiration value to the characters. So the boy is a stand-up comic, he opens a startup, the girl is in private equity, all very contemporary, all very aspirational kind of professions.
No, it's interesting. Are we going to see Chetan Bhagat, the stand-up comic, very soon on tour?
I think like you asked me in the beginning, is this your own story? So maybe there is a there is a secret desire. I find stand-up comics very courageous because I also am in the public eye, but I get to edit my material. I get to write, I edit, then editors look at it. There's a lot of iterative process, but stand-up comics have, of course, they also write, but when it comes to the day of delivery, each line has to work, each joke has to work, and if it doesn't work, there's a deafening silence. I think I secretly want to do it one day. In fact, I was writing a stand-up comedy set only. And while I wrote that, I'd kept it like aside in a Word file some time back. And then when I wrote this book, I brought out that set. And those sets are the pieces said by Saket in the book. Like, so the when he performs on, those are my things I had written for my own uh, stand-up comedy career, which never really launched.
Soon. There's always, like you said,
There's
here,
always,
there's always
it feels
time and there's lots of time. Yeah.
It feels weird
So,
to start something at 51, and it's very nice to be told that there is still time. But at 51, when I was young, I thought people don't do new things at 51. But yeah, I mean, why not, right?
but like you said, this is a new age. It's a different era. I mean,
It's a different
things are
era. Yes.
changing. It's a different era. But it's very interesting that you said, that stand-up comics are courageous because in the book also you write, that there's a bit between Saket and Payal, and he says he tells her that I hope you didn't get offended, and she says, you can't get offended, on little things. And I wanted to speak to you about, so much in the country, because you also write on what is happening in India. You do opinion pieces. And I wanted to get your take on what is currently happening in terms of when stand up comics get pulled up for what is comedy, or offensive comedy, perhaps sometimes, or even insult comedy, but it is comedy. And the idea of comedy is that someone somewhere may get offended. But is that being taken too far in terms of taking offense, or filing cases against stand-up comics?
I think so. I think it's taken too far. I think we're extra touchy, extra sensitive, becoming more so society. We have a lot of reverential, we have a very reverential nature, like elders should be respected, and this should be respected, and that should be respected. I've been caught with my foot in my mouth in my statements in the past. I'm older now. I try to like heavily avoid controversy. But sometimes even in innocence, I've said things. I remember I said something about Narayan Murthy once. My God, I just disagreed with him on a point. And it became a big issue. Like, how can you even, like, I mean, that was like 10, 15 years ago. I would never do that. If he says work 70 hours a week, I'll be like, yeah, he's right, man. Work 100, it's okay. So I think because we live in times where people get upset over things, and especially some things are considered holy cows, if I may say so. And I think I can see where that's coming from, that there should be respect in society. I totally get it. But at the same time, the change makers, society changes, evolves, improves by people who stick out, people who rebel, people who have different points of view, which may not agree with the mainstream view. And we need space for that to exist in society, even though we don't like it, even though we don't like it. You know, um, I'll give you like an
Yeah,
example which
no, no,
along
go
that I
ahead.
remember some comedy, like for comics. I think some comics made fun of Lata Mangeshkar, for example. Now again, she is a very reverential figure, and I particularly wouldn't do it. And I feel like, why are you doing that? It's not nice. She's like old lady now, and but at the same time, they have their comics. They made some bad jokes. That was not their best day. That joke didn't work. They also do 100 jokes that go without a problem, and people laugh. And maybe this one didn't land, and it was a bad choice of subject, or even I don't know. Maybe they think it's a good choice. It should be okay. I mean, you can't like really like crucify them for it. It's just a joke. It's a joke. Intentions matter. Even in
It's
our
just a
law,
joke.
intentions matter. And if the intention from the very beginning was only to make a joke, then how can we get so touchy about it? And it's
Yeah.
something even as writers, we get affected, right? Somebody could get touchy about my column. It's the same thing. So I'm very much on the side of comics, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
we should allow all voices to exist.
Courageous statement there. We should allow all voices to exist, but we must. So, also, I want to go back to this is again a love story. It's quite a favorite genre of yours, and it's again, I have to say, very readable. It flows fairly well. You again touch upon sort of different castes, not different religion, but different castes. And interestingly, again, in the India of today, you speak about food options. So there is the heroine who's a complete vegetarian, and the guy who does have non-veg. And I thought that's interesting again at a time like this, where during Navratri you have non-veg shops being told to shut. Some sort of comments being passed upon what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat. So again, where was that? Was it based on something? Was it based on what you see around you?
So like for those who may not have read, the girl is Jen, like the female heroine of the book is Jen, and the guy is stand-up comic, and he is a bodybuilder. He eats a lot of protein, therefore he eats a lot of non-veg. And there is some humor around Jain food and stuff like that. And that they are like vegetarians, so they'll go to heaven and we will go to hell. And Jains get the sea-facing apartments in heaven, like light humor like that. But still, we made a lot of Jains read the book, and we had a legal review, and there were certain things where even if there was a some doubt that someone could like not like it, then we took it out, even though I kind of may have found that line really funny or whatever. So we did do our checks and balances. The intention was not to hurt anybody, but I mean, when we made people who are Jain read the book, they actually liked it. They liked the fact that I'm trying to show many good aspects of the community and just show Jain culture and things like forgiveness, things like hard work, things like showing them as people who are very affluent and entrepreneurial. At the same time, I have to write a story, so it has to be interesting and fun. So nobody really objected, and all Jains are also not the same, just as all Hindus are not the same. So some Jains are very conservative, some are not, and Payal's parents happen to be very conservative. So I wrote it. I wrote it with the right intention, and I mean, it's been accepted. The book's out there. And like I said, we were careful not to really upset people.
I mean, you took a legal opinion, you were careful. But
Well,
again,
it's
I thought it was
HarperCollins.
very
HarperCollins
interesting
does
that you
it.
wrote.
Actually,
Hmm,
HarperCollins, whenever they publish,
again,
HarperCollins will do a legal review of a book. And there's it's not just
right.
about Jans, it's everything in the book. Like there were at least
Hmm.
50 points I had to address and take care of. Yeah. Even in a fiction novel. Yeah.
Did legal ask you to change anything, temper down stuff after they had a read of the first? Uh,
I don't know if you know lawyers, but they never tell you to do things. They will strongly advise you. So it's
so were you
never like do
strongly
this, do that,
advised?
right?
And
They will say we strongly advise that this can be uh, like edited a bit to not this. We feel that this could invite criticism. We feel like it's a mix of a legal plus overall review on how it could. So, but yeah, it is quite brutal to see a love story being massacred like that in a legal review. I mean, that's quite a process. Even things like role play sex scenes and things like we went through all. I mean, we had to go through all that
that's,
in a legal review. Is
I
this
was going to.
okay? Yeah.
So I was coming to that next because I thought, again, in an India where now you have states passing laws against live-in relationships, sort of telling couples you have to register with the state, your parents will be told, all of that. It's in that way a brave book because even though they don't live together, there is a lot of premarital sex.
I don't know if it's a particularly brave book, but I try to write books which are what is happening in society. I'm not particularly trying to advocate a certain culture or a lifestyle. If live-in things are happening in society, in big cities, I have to, if my stories will have that. If people are on Instagram, my stories will have that. Eh, I am not really saying it's good or bad. This is just the way the Gen Z is right now. Um, so it's, if you don't like what the mirror is showing you, don't break the mirror. I mean, you have to fix yourself. So my books are just a mirror on what is happening, and these are the couples of today, and I think that's what made me write this book, because I felt today we live in these very broad uh, today we live in these very broad definition of relationships, something called the situationships. This word wasn't even there
Yeah.
like many years back. This word wasn't there, and today we have situationships. Now it's happening in society, whether Chetan Bhagat writes about it or not. And if I want to write a book that Gen Z will read today, I'm 51 years old, and I go to book launches, and 20-year-olds come there and get their book signed. Something is connecting with them, right? And how am I able to write a story? That's mainly my experience in trying to write about people who are much younger than me. But over time, the craft becomes at a level where you can put yourself in their shoes. You can try to write. And the best way is to not judge. This happens. People are semi living in together. They may not be like sharing utility bills, but effectively, if they're dating, she stays over, he stays over. They pretty much start living a coupley kind of life. It's I don't even think it's a big deal anymore in big cities, at least.
Well, I hope you're right because, so much of what we see around us, one feels that there is more regression happening, and even in big cities, it's not really something that is accepted. You keep hearing of instances where in housing societies a live-in couple has to pretend they're married to live, and to get a house, or
Yeah, yeah.
otherwise it's
No, you're
just
right
not
about
given to
that.
them.
That
So
see, Gen Z doesn't live in isolation. Gen Z lives with other generations in this society. And when I say it's fairly common, it doesn't mean it's widely accepted. So both are true. It is common, but at the same time, it's
mm,
not widely accepted, especially by the older generation. And it's actually amazing how young Indians live double lives on a constant basis. Like even something like a Payal, who's the heroine, super achiever, went to Stanford, works in a private equity firm, everything like is poised, solid, intelligent. And at home, she toes the line in what her mother and father say.
mm,
And they say no wine and no boys. But then she does it anyway. She makes a boyfriend, she drinks
mm.
wine, but then when she comes home, she pretends that she doesn't. And that's the story of a lot of girls. I mean, it's fairly common that they are doing whatever they want, but it's also fairly common that they're hiding it from their parents.
Yeah, and it's actually very interesting because there is that one point where, when the mother is screaming at her and she tells the husband, or bhejo Stanford, Stanford, Bombay mein colleges
Yeah.
nahi hai. And I thought that was so many girls, especially, will kind of resonate with that, because it's all well till it comes to the point of marriage. You can study, you can get a career, but when it comes to marriage, you have to toe the line.
Yes, there is a certain rigid value system, and you can, within the bounds of that, you will be given independence, and the parents get to call themselves modern parents. We are modern parents. Our child is going abroad to study, but she's not allowed to date because our value system doesn't allow that. But she has to get married early
Mm,
because our value system is like that. And this is what the friction is in society, and that's where I want to be. Even though it's a love story, I am very fortunate that I'm a writer in India where society is dramatically changing. Like the value system of the young generation is totally different from the value system of the older generation. And that friction is where great stories lie. And Payal really not every girl in India is in private equity, but at home, the way Payal is, millions of girls can relate to a Payal because that's exactly how dare you empower her? Like that's what she's see, this is what happens when you
yeah.
empower her. I'll give you an example of my
Mm,
own life actually. When we first came to
mm,
Mumbai I was working abroad and I was in this, mood to do good and whatever. So we had a helper, and this the helper brought her daughter also to work with us, and I said, she can do more, and I said, what you can work, but you have to join something. So what classes you want to do? So she said, I want to do computer classes. So in Kolaba, I enrolled her in computer classes. She would go and learn how to use the computer and all, and she would help her mother in the household work little bit. Sounds really good, right? I'm doing something really good. What happened? She made a boyfriend and ran away with him, you know, and the mother gave me hell. Why did you send her to computer classes? Then we had another helper, another young girl, and again the do-gooder thing had not left me. And then I said, okay, I told that girl, what do you want to do? She's like, I want to join English classes. Of course, you should join English classes. Enrolled her in English classes in Bandra. What happened? Few months later, she ran away with the boy. And then my mother screamed at me, can you stop it? Can you stop this thing? You know, so I don't know what's the right answer. Should I not have done that? Uh, the thing is, when you empower anybody, man, woman, anybody, they will
mm,
do things which they secretly really want to do. So maybe, like, I may have put her in a computer class, and ideally, I would have liked her to, maybe become a work in an office or something. But she took that empowerment of going out of the house, meeting people in classes to talk to boys and fell in love with him. They got married and everything. They have like two kids now. It's quite strange. But yeah, so it's really interesting place, India. What do you do? And most people, even your at home, your parents will say, stop it, don't do all this. You will only invite trouble. From helper to the Jains who sent her daughter to Stanford, it's like, और भेजो लड़कियों को यही होगा. So
no.
I just turned it into a joke, but it's a reality.
No, I thought the key line there is it's India, what do you do? But, and again, a very interesting aspect was what you introduced with sugar babies in Dubai. And I thought it was interesting because you didn't write it in a judgy manner. You wrote it in a very acceptable, normalized manner. And I thought, it, is are you also sort of somewhere wherein it was fine because it was not judgmental, but was it also painting kind of in a very soft way wherein there is a darker side to this whole sugar baby angle as well?
Yeah, of course. Again, that's again a product of our recent times. This thing wasn't there. It was there in some different form, maybe, but this term wasn't there so much as it is now. Um, so it is when you talk of situationships, that's the natural progression, right? When situationships means anything is okay. Any kind of relationship is okay. You don't have to be committed. You don't have, it can be casual, it can be transactional. And eventually, once you remove every bit of emotion out of it, this is what it'll come down to. What can you do for me? What can you do for me? These are my needs, these are my needs, and let's just do a transaction around it. Voila, welcome to sugar babies. Apparently, I mean,
Okay,
even in
so
India, it's
yeah.
more common than you think, believe it or not. I have gone to youth, like young people book launches, and I sometimes ask, how many of you have heard of this term? Many people have. And how many of you know of someone who you think is doing this? And maybe not all, but a few people in a room full of people do personally know someone. So it's still a very tiny percentage, but it's not insignificant percentage. It's significant.
Yeah, and it's probably only growing. Yeah. So, okay. So, as we come to
Yeah.
the end of this, two quick questions. One is back on the question of stand-up comics. Your three favorite stand-up comics in India.
Oh, it's very hard to pick those. Uh, but okay, Zakir Khan, Anubhav Vassi. I'm just saying it. The people I've recently heard. Um, Anubhav Pal, Amit Tandon, Viswa Kalyan Rath. I'm not. I mean, some of them are my friends. All the AIB people.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I have a lot of respect for comics. So yeah, I think it's very
Great.
hard job to do.
Okay. And since you've sort of again made the book very visual, whether it's when they're caught in her bedroom or the handcuffs in bed, is this one also going to become a movie? Any producers that have approached you?
There have been some queries. It's still like 8, 10 weeks since the book came out. I mean, there have been some inquiries. I have deprioritized Bollywood from my life. If someone comes, it deprioritized doesn't mean I won't do it, but it's not something I will chase. I have gone through an evolution internally, and I realized that what I enjoy most is creating stories, creating characters, and writing books. And my purpose is to write books and make people read, which is a dying art, sort of. People are not reading enough because of their phones and screens. And I am still here, 2025, making a living out of writing books. I think that's far more cool than a screen adaptation today, especially when I've had five, six of them. So, and that takes a long time. Everything in life takes a lot of focus. Everything in life, if you have to do it well, requires tremendous amounts of energy, effort. So for me, I have to pick what I care about more. And I care about writing 12 years more than, say, getting one of my earlier books adapted. And I want to spend time with my family and be there for my kids, which all these things took a back seat when I was building my career in hyper fame mode. And Bollywood helps me get fame. That's the main benefit, is that it just reaches more people, and more people enjoy movies in India than books. So, but still, I have lakhs of readers, millions of readers, maybe, and maybe Bollywood takes it to crores. Um, but I'm here, and that I don't need fame to win anymore. I've already won. I don't need fame.
You're already famous, right?
I mean, no, not,
Between
and
us,
fame is
Chetan
not the
Bhagat,
point. I mean,
what's next?
what's next
No,
for
no, go
me is
ahead. You
I'm
said
waiting
fame's
for.
not the point. Yeah.
Fame's not the point. I mean, yeah, I happen to be famous, but that was never the final end product, or That's not what I'm going to be thinking on my deathbed. Hey, I was famous, you know. So were a lot of, prank content creators on Instagram today. What I want to be proud of is that I wrote books and I made an entire country read. I mean, that, and I continued to do that. I was not a one-hit wonder. I kept doing it and stayed relevant through the decades. And I think for that, I need that kind of a focus. And that I'm proud of the books I've done. I'm very proud of 12 years. It's doing well. And there was a time, if you had interviewed me 10, 15 years ago, I would have narrated the sales figures and bestseller list and this, that. It's again not the it's nice, but do I love the book? Yeah. Do I like I don't want to put spoilers, but since you mentioned there's a scene when they get like caught. That scene is insane. I mean, I was able to write it. At this age, I'm able to do fresh stuff like that. In my 12th book, I'm still able to take the readers by surprise. People who have read 6 books of mine, 7 books of mine are still getting surprised in a love story. So I think for me, that is that mastery over your craft, you can say, is my main goal right now.
Thank you so much, Chetan Bhagat,
Thank you.
for speaking to us. And best of luck with the book.
Thank you for having great questions and thank you for reading it. And yeah, look forward to more and more people reading. Guys watching this, please read books, not just mine, just read books. It's good for you. They only say well-read person. They never say well TV watched or well phone scrolled person.
That's true. Thank you.